This time, it's about something we all expected. Since the beginning of this year, China has been experiencing numerous floods across the country, leading to massive damage. However, the impact of floods isn't just limited to the immediate aftermath, various other effects emerge after the waters recede. One of the concerns is the spread of infectious diseases. As you know, information about diseases in China tends to be concealed, especially in rural areas where medical infrastructure is lacking. While there are large hospitals in China's urban areas where organ transplants and other advanced medical procedures are performed, many rural regions lack proper healthcare facilities. This means that infectious diseases could spread unnoticed in the early stages, and by the time information reaches those of us living abroad, the situation in China could already be dire. On a different note, although unrelated to the floods, there has been a lot of discussion about the global spread of monkeypox, which has also been reported in China since last year. According to the reports from last year, Chinese authorities had identified several hundred cases nationwide, with dozens of cases reported in Shanghai alone. Shanghai, being an international city with many foreign interactions, might have higher numbers compared to other parts of China. This implies that even urban areas might not be safe, and cities like Shanghai could be at greater risk. Furthermore, many people in China's urban areas come from rural regions for work, which increases the potential for the disease to spread across the country. The full extent of the monkeypox situation in China remains unclear, and it's possible that even the Communist Party authorities are not fully aware of it. However, we do know that a significant number of cases were identified in China as early as last year, indicating that the disease might be spreading but has not yet been fully disclosed. China is a country that conceals information about infectious diseases, making it extremely dangerous. If this were only an issue within China, one might argue it's their problem. However, diseases can impact other countries as well. Information about infectious diseases should be shared promptly to track the spread and determine effective treatments. However, when a country with such a large population conceals this information, it becomes a significant threat to the entire planet. Therefore, I believe there should be international rules imposing strong penalties for concealing such information. Without this, the Chinese Communist Party will likely continue to repeat these actions. But let's move on to the main topic of today's discussion. It's not about diseases but rather the impact on crops. When floods occur, fields are submerged, and it's clear that this would lead to subsequent issues. As expected, this is now a major topic of concern across China. Here's what's happening: vegetable prices in China are skyrocketing. Let's look at some specific figures. For instance, the price of celery in Shanghai was 1.8 yuan per 500 grams in mid-June. By the end of July, it had risen to 4.6 yuan, more than doubling. As of August 14, the price had reached 6.3 yuan, more than tripling compared to mid-June. This isn't just a problem in Shanghai. Vegetable prices are rising across China, with many items more than doubling in price. For example, in Sichuan province, a major agricultural region in China's inland western area, vegetable prices have been steadily increasing since July, with items like eggplants and green onions seeing price hikes of over 50%. The reasons for this include the severe floods across China this year, which have caused crops to fail and reduce harvests. Additionally, there's another factor contributing to the price increase: the intense summer heat. For instance, celery, as I mentioned earlier, does not grow properly when temperatures exceed 35 degrees Celsius. While vegetables won't grow well if it's too cold, excessively high temperatures also negatively impact their growth. If there are any farmers watching this video, I'd appreciate hearing about how this year's weather has affected crop production in Japan. In China, however, the intense summer heat has reduced harvests. Furthermore, this rise in temperature also affects the prices of vegetables in another way. After the vegetables are harvested and transported to the market, high temperatures cause them to spoil more quickly, leading to increased losses. Normally, if 9 out of 10 harvested vegetables reach consumers, this ratio might drop to 8 or 7 due to the heat, resulting in higher prices to maintain profitability. So, while consumers are seeing skyrocketing vegetable prices, farmers aren't necessarily benefiting from this. Although the price at which farmers sell their vegetables has increased, their overall income hasn't, because the total harvest has decreased. Additionally, the increased spoilage due to the high temperatures further reduces their earnings. This means that while vegetable prices are soaring, nobody is really benefiting. Now, how are restaurant owners coping with this situation? Despite the rising costs of ingredients, they can't pass these costs on to customers by raising prices, because if they do, customers will simply stop coming. This part of the issue can't be explained by the floods alone. The reality for ordinary Chinese citizens is that while food prices are rising, their incomes aren't, and in fact, many are worse off than before. Some have even lost their jobs. So, if restaurants raise prices, customers will just look for cheaper options, leading to reduced income for the restaurants, which means they can't afford to raise prices. According to reports from Japan, China is now entering a deflationary period, but even in this deflationary environment, food prices are still rising. The overall economic indicators might suggest deflation in China, but the reality for ordinary people is that the cost of daily essentials is increasing while their wages are not. This is the current reality in China. The overall economic statistics and the day-to-day experiences of people can often feel quite different. The same could be said for Japan. While Japan aims for around 2% inflation, the price of dining out, for example, has often increased by much more than just a few percent. It wasn't too long ago when paying more than 1,000 yen for lunch seemed expensive, but now such prices are becoming more common. So, while Japan as a whole might be aiming for around 2% inflation, many people feel that prices have risen by much more in their daily lives. The difference in perception between overall economic indicators and daily experiences can be significant. However, in Japan, many people still believe the economy will improve in the future, which provides some hope. In China, on the other hand, the situation is more severe. There is a significant number of unemployed people, and what's even more concerning is that many young people are unable to find jobs. With rising food prices, people are struggling to make ends meet. Amid this situation, Chinese social media is filled with jokes like, "If you can't afford vegetables, why not eat meat instead?" This situation is becoming increasingly difficult for ordinary people in China. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next video.